Hello, everybody. My name is Brock Vickers. You have recently seen me as Richard Hannay in The 39 Steps, and that was my first show at Annapolis Shakespeare. I specifically went down to audition for Annapolis Shakes to do that show. Whenever I saw that it was on the 2020 production list, I knew I was going to go down. I got to understudy that part when I was about 23, 24 years old, and I've wanted to do it ever since. I never got to go on when I understudied it, so I was always envious of not getting to play Richard Hannay then, which I was way too young to do it then. So when it rolled around this time, I knew that I was going to make it to that audition. And I had a blast. It was a great first experience at Annapolis Shakes. It was a great cast. It was a great crew. It was a great space to do the show. I think the space that the theater has was really, really right for that show. And I think Sally put together a great cast, and we all had a great time doing it. I mean, how can you not? Like, it's a slapstick show. It's an adventure show based on an old Hitchcock story, which was actually based on a novel. So it's got everything that I love, like, because I love the spy genre. I love slapstick. I love commedia. I love farce. I love all of those things. So it's literally one of my favorite shows to do because it has all of the things that I enjoy doing on stage, and it has it all in one show. As far as what my favorite production that I've ever gotten to be a part of is, a few years ago I got to do the Texas Shakespeare Festival, and I first auditioned for them right when I was coming out of college. I had no experience other than college productions and high school productions and things like that. And I auditioned for Texas Shakespeare at a massive audition and didn't get anything. And then fast forward a few years after apprenticing, after doing a whole bunch of other shows, I auditioned for them again. And I didn't think I was going to get anything. I had a callback for them, but the callback went so quickly. I didn't do an audition for them. I just talked to the artistic director, so I thought I wasn't going to get anything. And lo and behold, they sent me an offer letter a couple weeks later with a dream role in one of the offers. They were offering me to play Benedict in Much Ado About Nothing, which is, hands down, my favorite Shakespearean character. I love him above every other character, including Hamlet, Macbeth, all of the big boys. I love Benedict. He's kind of a Capitano character. He's a character that you get to make fun of yourself while you're playing it, of being this, brash, sort of overbearing buffoon who has no idea how ridiculous he actually is. And then also, you've got the wonderful love story between he and Beatrice, and how you have these two people who are so perfect for each other, yet neither one of them can see it. And I think it's one of the best love stories in all of Shakespeare's canon. So it was awesome to be a part of that. And then I got to do it in rep down in Texas, in Kilgore, Texas, with a cast of like 60 people who are working on multiple shows. And anytime you get to do rep, it's a lot of fun. You're working very hard. You're very focused. We were doing Much Ado About Nothing, Cyrano Bergerac, Richard III, a musical, a children's show, a whole bunch of things. And so I got to focus and do that show. That was the show that I was the lead in. And we had sword fights, and we had slapstick, and we had great, great stuff to work on. And so it was my first time getting to play that role. I would get to play him again later that year, actually, at American Stage. But getting to do it the first time was my favorite production, my favorite version to work on, because trying to discover those jokes, discovering the rhythm of the language, discovering the character about who he was at the start of the process and then who he was at the beginning of the process was something that was just so much fun. Like, I had a good idea of what I wanted to do with Benedict at the beginning, but then, working with the director, working with the team and the cast and everybody, that really brought out a whole other side to that character. And that's probably my favorite thing that I've gotten to work on, just because of the scale, the size, the costumes, the sword fights, everything in it was just fantastic. Whenever I've only done one show at Annapolis Shakes, and so that was the 39 Steps. And working on that show, it's a totally different process than working on Shakespeare or working on something like that, because the show is so fast. It's a well-oiled machine, and you as an actor want to add so much. You get ideas for jokes, you get ideas for bits, and that's part of the fun, is finding the rhythm and finding the jokes of the show. But it's also one of the challenges, because you keep wanting to go joke, and sometimes the story can get lost, or you forget, like, you're the leading man. and you want to be a clown. And so that was part of the fun of working on that show, and it's part of the joy of working on it. And I think Sally did a wonderful job sort of massaging out me wanting to be a clown in that, and making sure that I stayed the leading man and stayed, the guy that the story was happening to, as opposed to falling into the trap of wanting to be the funny guy. As far as right now, what's going on with COVID-19, what's going on with the pandemic, what's affecting artists, I can say that, it is pretty much wiped out everything that I do, with very few exceptions. When it first started, I had about 8 or 9 commercials, TV projects, things lined up that were scheduled to shoot throughout April. We were supposed to start Treasure Island during that time as well, and all of that has just been wiped out. We haven't done any of the commercials that I was supposed to shoot. We haven't done any of the projects that I was supposed to be working on. My girlfriend and I were actually supposed to be working on several projects together as writer, producer, director, working with some of our friends. We haven't been able to do any of that. And it's just really shut down the industry as a whole, with the exception of a few, self-tapes, a few jobs that I can do on my cell phone. Occasionally something will come up, especially if it's addressed about COVID. I've been able to do a few auditions for that, but otherwise the industry has just been completely wiped out. A lot of my friends are struggling, especially people who specifically only do theater. All of that work has been eliminated and erased. Hopefully, obviously it's eventually going to come back. That work will resume. I'm looking forward to digging into Treasure Island, because that was another bucket list role to play Long John Silver. And I'm really excited about getting to start on that as soon as we can. There's just not another story like Treasure Island. There's not another character like Long John Silver. I think it's one of the greatest stories ever told. It's a classic hero's journey. You've got a classic, if not the epitome of an anti-hero in Long John Silver. And I'm just looking forward to getting started on that show whenever we possibly can. And I know that Sally and everybody are doing their best to make sure that production still happens. And that's sort of where everyone is right now. It's getting a lot of emails from people being like, we're going to start as soon as we can. My agents and casting directors and people are constantly just sending out reminders to stay sharp and keep yourself working, keep reading, keep auditioning, keep refining your skills, because there's just no work happening right now because of the virus. And it can be very tough. Even my survival jobs and those sort of things that I have all been shut down, and so it's been difficult. But I'm inspired by all the people who are still creating. I'm inspired by the companies who are still pushing through and persevering, and I'm inspired by the people who are out there working, whether it's nurses and doctors or grocery store employees and the people stocking the shelves, and also all the people who are trying to make sure that everyone is safe and healthy, and then trying to open the country back up. So it's been an interesting time to be an artist, to be an actor. You do your best to stay creative. I try to write every day. I try to make sure that I'm coming up with new plays and new story ideas, because that's something that I just enjoy doing. But yeah, after a while you get tired of just sitting there and not doing a whole lot in your room, or not writing or anything like that. So it's been a very interesting and frustrating time, but it's also been a very unique time to sort of see how families are coming together, how, you can sort of, you can touch base with the things that actually matter most, as opposed to just, going to one audition after another and sort of getting caught up in that little rat race of, am I auditioning enough? Am I sending my headshot out enough? Am I doing all that? Instead, you focus on, your family. You try to call your friends. You try to call your family members. You make sure you tell everyone that you love them. You hang out with your dog, or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's been a very interesting time to be an artist and an actor right now. Lastly, I think the way that actors and that creators can help people in this time is sort of going back to the basics and making sure that you're focusing on telling stories. Some people have taken this opportunity to share sonnets, or to teach classes, or to sing Broadway songs, or whatever it may be. And other people are taking time to make sure that they're actually focusing on their writing, or creating characters, or getting better. And I think you've got to treat this sort of like a slingshot. This is an opportunity as an artist, as an actor, as a writer, as a whatever, to sort of put everything off. You don't have to worry about the survival job. You don't have to worry about rent or anything like that. You don't have to worry about going to work or going to auditions. And instead, you can focus on becoming a better storyteller, becoming a better artist, becoming a better actor, becoming, just a better person. And you can put all of that energy and all of that focus into